how to heal leaky gut. So if you're ready for today's episode, it is the second episode of Thank Gut, third episode of Thank God It's Fixed, and we're talking about how to heal leaky gut. If you have a friend who's interested in this, you can tag them right away. Or if you are listening to the recording, watching the recording, you can tag a friend. You can always share it. People ask me if they can share, and the answer is yes, of course, anytime. And this is exactly why I'm doing this. All right, so let's talk about this. So leaky gut. Now, how do you know that you have it? Like, why should you even bother with all of this? Is this really important? Does it matter to you or not? And what it matters is the symptoms, or how do you know that there's a red flag or something that you want to pay attention to? Obviously, the symptoms. This is the way your body is trying to talk to you. So if you have digestive symptoms, so bloating, acid reflux, heartburn, diarrhea, constipation, then that is definitely a sign that the imbalance in your gut is not correct or is not proper. But what amazes people a lot of time is that the things that they don't think are related to their gut, and sadly they're not getting the answers when they go to their trusted doctors. So if you have things like rosacea or eczema or rashes and hives, these are all food related. And your doctors might run a food sensitive or food allergy test, comes back negative, but it still does not mean that you're in full health. There's something in your gut that is affecting the symptom. Migraines and headaches are also another one that you might go to a neurologist and they don't think of how your gut and how your food is related to that. Things even like muscle pain or joint pain. Fibromyalgia is a big one where it's like a full diagnosis, but even if you are achy and you can't get up and you're having a hard time doing your daily activities, things like fertility as well. Your body needs to have good, healthy gut to be able to host a baby and grow a baby and nourish a baby. So that is also important. Anxiety, and in the first episode I talked how the brain and the gut are connected. So even if you're anxious and maybe the doctor's prescription is to give you a medication and maybe you don't want to do that, and your food is going to affect this health. And the problem with conventional medicine, and not just in the US but from other parts of the world, is that your doctors are very specialized. So if you have thyroid issue or diabetes, you go to endocrinologist, and then if you have digestive issue, you go to a gastro, and then if you have headaches, you go to a neurologist. But then doctors are very specialized in what they do, but there's no there's not attention being paid to what you're eating and the foundation of your health and of your gut. So any digestive issues that you have, or even like a condition that you're really not sure, you don't feel yourself, you're not getting the answers from your doctor, definitely consider this as something that can be going on in your body. I was just attending some online training right now by a functional physician, and she was it was talking about like how certain foods, and I would love to like share. I would definitely have to share this. Now it was talking more about chemistry and microbiology and biochemistry, about all the different nutrients, things like your spices and your just food. And I want to quote the speaker, and she said something that was really beautiful and powerful, and it says, genes are not the end of your story. So your genetic makeup, this is not what you were born with. Your story doesn't end there. And you write your own story by the choices that you make, by what you eat, and how you live your life, and how you move your body. Think of this as you're listening to this, or anytime you put anything in your mouth, food is going to talk to your body, and it's going to affect your gut health. And this is all related, and the gut is the foundation of all systematic conditions. So keep that in mind. What I want to talk about is 5 things that you can do to help heal leaky gut. Now, a little bit, mentioned some of the things that you might have, or the symptoms that will make you think that, okay, maybe I need to address leaky gut. The best way to heal is going to be very individual for each person, because this is individualized medicine or nutrition. So what works for one person may not work for another. Plus, it's very important to see what cause you to get in this place? Is it a hormonal imbalance like your thyroid, or is it a digestive imbalance, or is it certain medications that you were taking, or certain foods that you're eating, or certain foods that you were not eating? So it's a combination of things. So number one is like you have to know what are the triggers, and some of them can be medications. So here's detox. Your body's ability to detox is very important as well too, and that's going to depend on many factors. In your gut, the health of your gut will help you detox. So all the people like doing juice cleanses and all those things are good, but if your body is not eliminating waste, if you're constipated, if you're not getting rid of the stuff, if you're not absorbing the right nutrients and getting rid of all of the excess, if you don't have the good microbes in your gut and you have an infection, that's going to be a problem. So it's going to be very individual. All my patients go through a 4-step process. We eliminate the problem foods, and we eliminate the pathogens that are in the gut. There are so many things that you can do. And then we're going to add replace that with nutrition, specific foods that are going to help heal the gut, specific nutrients, and then and certain supplements are going to be needed, and we're going to rebalance the microbe and the gut flora. So keep in mind that while this is an overview, the purpose of the show is educational, obviously, and it doesn't replace individualized help, and there's only so much that we can share and generalize, because you can read about this in a lot of places, but what works for one person doesn't work for another. Timing is really critical. But I want to share with you 5 things that you can do to heal your gut. So the first one is to remove processed foods, especially sugar and fats and oils and preservatives and chemicals from your food system. Even like things that are made from plastics or wrapped in plastics and heated, even things that have pesticides in them, because what all of those things are doing are creating inflammation in the gut, and that is going to cause the lining of the gut to suffer, to be irritated. Sugar is especially a problem. 2 things, because it's inflammatory, and the other thing is because it's feeds bacteria and microbes. So they're going to eat all the sugar, feed off the sugar, and overgrow. So that's going to be important to eliminate that. And we want to replace it with lots of vegetables and fruit and things like antioxidants, berries, green tea, vegetables, amino acids, omega-3s, things from fish oils. So there will be, so you want an anti-inflammatory overall diet to help support the gut. And speaking of sugar, the recommendation is that you eat 25 to 30 grams of sugar a day, and that's an average 6 teaspoons of sugar a day. It's what's recommended. Most people are eating 22 grams of sugar a day, or even more. And the problem is that the sugar is going to replace the fiber, the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants. So if you're grabbing a candy bar as opposed to grabbing vegetables with some avocado or guacamole or some beans, they're not the same, even though the calories can be the same. So the second one, I have a question here. Is stress, depression cause the leaky gut, or leaky gut causes them? I would say it's like a circle, but fixing the leaky gut has been shown to improve mood and depression and anxiety in some people. When I've helped my patients work on their gut, they come back and they say they feel so much better. Now, stress is going to make the gut worse. So you also want to, you can't really eliminate stress. Nobody can live without stressors, but it's how you respond to it. So it has to be a holistic approach. I find that with sometimes like addressing the stress is difficult because it's like multifactorial, but you start with the gut and people start feeling better, have more energy to do things, and they start have a more positive outlook on life and more energy to tackle the other things that are happening in their life. So we talked about removing processed foods and eating an anti-inflammatory diet. The second one is to remove gluten. So gluten is a protein that is found in mostly wheat, rye, barley, and in oats as well. And what that does, the protein, is we talked about the cells of your intestine and that they're all joined together like this. And then when you eat wheat, what happens is those joints open up. And when they open up, like wheat is unlocks these junctions, and now things can pass through. So if you have pathogens or toxins or undigested food, it can go into the inside of the body, and that's exactly what leaky gut is. Now, you don't have to have celiac disease to have a gluten problem. That's what some of the misconception people say, oh, I was tested for celiac and I was fine. Well, there is such a thing that's called non-celiac gluten sensitivity, whereas people can be reactive to gluten and they worsen it worsens their symptoms even though their tests show that they are normal. And what's an interesting thing is, and if anybody wants to study, is that gluten causes the cells to open up or the joints to widen in everybody, whether you have celiac disease or not, and whether you have digestive symptoms or other symptoms or not, it's the same, but the degree or how severe that is or how long the openings stay open, that is going to depend. Some people are more susceptible to it and have that genetic predisposition. And so it's going to affect us all, but the degree it affects certain people may be stronger than others. Okay, so gluten is one, processed food is another. Now, there are some people I see who have tried the gluten-free diet and they say, okay, I have 50% improvement, but I'm still not doing well, or I still have this symptom or that symptom. But then the next step would be, well, what if you remove bread and you still have issues? Then you may have developed food sensitivities as a result of leaky gut. So to heal leaky gut, you also have to eliminate those foods that your body develops sensitivities to so that you let your immune system and your digestive system heal. And then food sensitivities, they're not lasting. It's not your ever after. It's not like an allergy where you have to live with it. Almost everyone I worked with, when we do a food sensitivity program and reintroduce the food 6 months or 3 months down the road, they're able to eat them again. So, it's just a kind of reminder that there's hope. It's not a forever thing. Some people are surprised to know that some of the best foods, the things like you hear all the article, like the best foods for so-and-so, salmon, avocado, garlic, cumin, onion, blueberries, all of these foods are examples of foods that came back positive for my patients. So, each patient has a different test result. If your immune system cannot recognize the food anymore and it thinks of it as foreign and as a substance that I'm going to fight, then your immune system is going to fight it, and then you're going to have all of those symptoms. So you want to heal the gut. And part of healing the gut is addressing these food sensitivities. And so that you give your body time to rest and relax. So how do you know which ones you're sensitive to? There are some, general elimination diets where you only eat 4 foods. However, I choose not to do those because they take a long time, and you only eat like 4 foods for a certain period of time. And you have to experiment. You have to keep food diaries. It takes a very long time. And it can be very, tedious. So what I do is I use a food sensitivity test that I can get results. And in 10 days, 10 to 30 days, I can get my patients with amazing transformation in their gut, their energy, their mood. So I love using things that, if there's a tool or information that will help me speed up the results and get information, absolutely, that's what we're going to be doing. All right, let's review. So we talked about removing processed foods, especially sugar and preservatives and all those things, and replacing them with healthy anti-inflammatory foods, removing gluten, addressing food sensitivities, now addressing gut infections. If you have an overgrowth of bacteria or parasite or yeast, or if you have bacteria in the wrong place, this is called SIBO, which we'll have to talk about some other time, but all of those things are root causes of inflammation. So even if you do everything, you take this supplement, or you heard on this website or that website, take this, take that, remove gluten, and you're doing all of this, but you're not addressing the root of the problem, then you're always going to have the issue. And it's sort of like you wasted all your money and your time. So we really have to address the infections. And then the last one is you want to replace with certain enzymes, probiotics, certain amino acids and antioxidants. So a lot of those things you can get from food, and food is very powerful. But in cases when you've been having symptoms and issues, there is definitely a benefit to taking them in a supplement form, because you want to have the therapeutic dose. You want to have a high dose. You want to guarantee that you're getting that. And while you're fixing and healing your gut and you're getting the nutrients, you're also improving your chances of absorbing everything that you're eating. Because if you have this inflammation and you're taking all these supplements, you're not absorbing them. So remember, you are not what you eat, you are what you digest and you absorb. So the question is, how can I know if I have bacteria? So sometimes, I'm here in the US, I can help people get stool testing and breath testing. If you're here in the US and you're interested in knowing what the functional tests that I use to help my patients, write me in the comment and tell me that you're looking for this information. You asked a question about GERD and acid reflux. Some of the tips here I mentioned would help, but I have to talk about acid reflux in another episode, so stay tuned for that. That could be coming in next. I'd love to talk about that. Actually, I was going to talk about that today, but then I wanted to continue with the leaky gut discussion. So acid reflux tips are going to be coming next week, but one of the tips, try to remove gluten, because that can help. It's not the only thing, but one of the things that might help. So I just want to make sure that I review what I talked about, keeping healthy, clean diet, removing the sugar, removing gluten, addressing gut infections, food sensitivities, and making sure that you got a full replacement of the nutrients that your gut needs. If you are if you want more information, or if you want to see how things work for you, obviously, as I said, the best way to heal leaky gut is finding what caused it and solving that. So if this is something that is important to you, that you're suffering from these symptoms and you're not getting answers, this is the kind of patient I work with, is they're not getting answers. And it makes me really sad that this communication is not being shared with you. And this is exactly why I'm doing this show. So if you're interested in knowing what you can do, if you want to work with me privately or get some more information, message me or actually write a comment. Tell me that, hey, I want to know more about working with you, and I will send you information just to give you some information out on what I do and how we can get started if that's a good fit. All right, guys. So thank you again for joining. If you have any questions, if you're watching the recording, type your questions and comments, tag a friend, share it, give it a thumbs up or a like. I would appreciate that. Make sure you tune in next week, same time, Wednesday, 1:30 p.m. Eastern, and I'll see you next time. This is Noor Zibde, functional dietitian, and have a great day.